I need to do a couple of these. The ones I got with loose covers, they're getting in bad shape. This is the official Handbook to the Marvel Universe, issue 1 of the Master Edition, the 90s Handbook as I call it. Since it is issue 1, I will explain it in case you have clicked on this out of curiosity rather than perverse attraction to the nonsense I normally upload. These are 24 card sheets, each devoted to a different Marvel character. Unlike previous entries in the Handbook series, it's not in A to Z alphabetical order. You get 24 characters each issue, and they range from Angela Anaconda here from the Serpent League of America to our featured star of issue 1, Spider-Man. There's 36 issues. You get them all, and you can put them in order yourself. As you can see, the cards are all punched. They did offer ring binders for these. You could get ring binders, but by the end, you needed at least 3 or 4 of them to hold all the profiles we got. 864 profiles. That's how many we got in the end. Probably off by 1. Despite that, there's many major characters missing. Why not go and watch this video I made to see about 40 that just missed out on the honour. I do try to avoid spoiling who is in each issue. I like the surprise, the novelty of seeing who I have got to add to my collection in this one. It's like getting a booster pack of cards. That's a comparison I always make. By the way, yes, it is very tedious breaking up a sentence like that. I'm not looking at these when I do it, I'm looking off to the corner. It is quite satisfying to tear them out though. So here is our 24 profiles for issue 1. Let's see who we have got, even though you just saw a bunch of them on screen. I didn't. I was looking at a poster in the corner of my room. There's 3 characters I know are in this, one of which is the first one. That is something that I cannot avoid. Angela Anaconda from the Serpent League of America. Early on, they did seem to try and include a member of that team in every issue. Okay, now I will explain what is what. A profile for this series is 2 components. We have the art by Neil Pollard and Joe Rube Goldberg machine. It is a turnaround featuring the character, a model sheet, an amazing resource for an artist who has to draw this character. It gives a wonderful view of every part of their costume and appearance. Fantastic reference for our character looks. Then, on the other side of the card, we have what is a profile this time around. We have stripped away all the detailed history of the deluxe edition. Now we have what they call on other covers a data sheet. Name, aliases, group affiliation, first appearance, stuff like that. We get a section about their powers and abilities, and a weapons bit, equipment, paraphernalia, and finally a rundown of significant issues for this character. Not everyone gets to have that section. Sometimes the stuff that comes before it is too much and we run out of room, or there are far too many significant issues to list. I imagine we are going to see a case of that later on. Next profile is for Blue Streak, a minor hero featured in a few issues of Kazar. He took over running security at Project Cadmus. One thing this series did, probably to its detriment, at least in issue 1 definitely, it didn't commence and do characters in order of importance. Issue 1 isn't Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolfman, Hulk. It's almost randomly selected characters from the Marvel Universe, like Cyclist's dad. Just think about that for a minute. We get a profile for Cyclist's dad before we get one for Cyclist. When it comes to missing characters, across the 36 issues we get 3 members of Powder Puff Pack, but we never get, objectively, the main one, Dormammu, a big Doctor Strange enemy. What's good about the art being done by one art team is that a character like Dormammu, we get a better idea of how he should look in comparison to normal looking people like Cyclist's dad. The past Handbooks would sometimes have tremendously stylized artists do art pieces for certain characters, and the result was that it didn't give much idea or clue as to how that character should look when adapted by any other penciler. I'm going to say something weird here, not that weird, but this is Vixen from the Justice League, the Marvel team, the Justice League. Vixen is hot. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I think she's hot. I don't think Grace Jones is hot. I don't think anyone who likely inspired this character's appearance is hot. It's not a look, or rather a hairstyle, that lends itself to hotness, but in the comics somehow Vixen is hot. She's also dead. She died in the last issue of the Maxi series. A shame. I have often tried to think of ways to bring her back because she's hot. Gorgonzola from the land of the Unhumans. Now I think we have all the male Unhumans. I've got about 140 profiles already. At the end, I'll throw these into the mix and see what teams we're filling up. Catherine. Now, add on, this one is one where I need to say the H. Catherine Hahn. Poor woman needs to fire her agent for getting her cast as this decrepit windbag. Juggernaut. Nothing can stop him. Look at that bum as well. Wouldn't want to stop that. Here is his data sheet. I show them when I deem it a good character. This was the third one I knew was in the selection. Ursula, the Seaman villainess. Another thing I do with this series is I have a stupid story arc to build at the end. Say World Attacks 2, Fairyland Attacks. Ursula is one of our chief villains for that, so she was needed. It doesn't mention that she raped Spider-Man on her data sheet. I would lead with that, before a name even, up front, say she raped Spider-Man. We have seen this character a couple of times this year, Midwife. A kung fu character that was reappropriated at the time of these Handbooks as a Silver Surfman villain. This was late 1990, so it's actually before that issue we looked at, Silver Surfman issue 60. M.O.D.A.M, the distaff version of M.O.D.OK. Feminism at Work. I think even she was very recent. I'm showing this out of curiosity, not because I consider her a good character. She was only introduced in Kazar issue 9, but they have included an earlier iteration to beef up the profile, Hank Gordon's ex-wife. They don't mention Kate Waynesborough though. There's a story, I don't know how true it is. I think it is exaggerated for comic effect. The legend is that Daniel LaRusso, frequent writing partner of Marky Mark J, he fell out with Marky Mark over the fact that Devil Dinosaur was not included in the first 2 Handbook series. Devil Dinosaur got a profile in the 89 update, but those were Peter Sanford and Son running things. It is this series, the Master Edition, where Marky Mark J finally does profiles for both Devil Dinosaur and his partner Moonbeam. Nebulos, the Nebula Man, a Defender's enemy, one of their major enemies even. He had been dead a while by the time of this. Also noticing some pretty close crop jobs here. I was thinking the other day that when we started doing these, I think the first 2 or 3 we looked at each had Omega Titans, but we'd not had any since then. Well, now we have Oneg the Prober. I should say something about anal probing right here. Warwick Davis from Alpha Strike. This is good. We got Eva, Miss Maple. We got her last time, didn't we? We've come straight in with 2 of the main Alpha Strike members. Ronan Reigns. I said in the last one, but when the series was announced, they also announced a sister series that never came to pass. That would have been Weapons and Objects, things like Ronan Reigns' hammer or Thor's magic hammer, which is what I brought it up on last time. It's a shame that that didn't come to fruition, because I reckon that could have been a done in one. At most 2 issues. I think the main stuff could be put into a done in 1 volume though. Here comes a Spider-Man. Thwip, thwip. It's Spider-Man. Is reverse. And we actually do get the bibliography. I thought there wouldn't be enough space, and in Spider-Man's case there would be far too many to list. But no, we do have it. Shade the Changing Man. Another good team filler. We've got an Avenger here, and we've also got a member of the New Gods. Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. This first issue selection of characters, while I appreciate its arbitrary nature, I think for the first issue, they should have at least refined it so that for the first one you get a fair share of popular characters. I'm not talking about Captain America or She-Hulks. I mean, like, have Spider-Man, but also have someone like... Actually, She-Hulks kind of works. Scarlett Johansson, Doctor Strange... You know, just a few big name characters people all know, rather than Spider-Man and 23 other characters. Warwick Davis and Juggernaut are the most famous faces after Spider-Man, and that isn't good enough for a first issue that should be reeling as many readers as it can in. Hawkeye, there's a good one they could have included. We get his failed attempt at a nemesis though. Shit shot. I have beef with this guy. He exists because editor Marky Mark J took umbrage with the notion Hawkeye learned his archery skills from Swordman. So we introduced this guy who taught Hawkeye everything instead. But there is no problem with Swordman teaching Hawkeye archery. Swordman doesn't have to be the world's greatest archer to teach Hawkeye. He just needs to be a semi-competent one, which he can be. Hawkeye and his archery is good through personal skill and dedication. It's not all from a teacher. Thyroid Mary, only indexed as thyroid. That's odd. Great character. She's raped Spider-Man too. We get a profile for a generic member of the Watchdogs. How do we feel about this? We get them for all these sorts of army builder type things. Hydra, AIM, the Kree people, Skrulls. Useful, I guess, but I want characters, not templates. And our final one is another corpse. It is... I've already called Mentor Isaiah. I don't know my fourth world enough. Does Isaiah have a brother, or a father, or a cousin, or anything? I know he's got a son, but Orion is already in use. That is the moral from this issue. Now, this one should be quite short. I don't think we've got all that much to fill out here. Angela Anaconda joins our very fleshed out Serpent League of America. 8 members here. Gorgonzola can go with our Unhumans. We already have Blue Balls, Cognac, and then Tripods. I didn't get Mo, but we also have The Flash, one of my favourite Marvel characters. He can count as one of the Unhumans royal family as well. Warwick Davis. This is where I fucked up. It wasn't Miss Maple that we had. It's Diamond Little. Still, this is potentially the start of building a good Alpha Strike team. Shade the Changing Man. He can go with our Avengers, but I'm not putting him with them. He's the first member we have gotten who have decided not to put on our team. Spider-Man could go on them too, but likewise, I am withholding him. Instead, he gets to be paired with Felicity. I was right, that didn't take long at all. Right, let's talk about SeaWorld Attacks 2, Fairyland Attacks. We do have a couple of things in this that are helping to expand that story, or what I have told you so far of that story. The backbone of the crossover, the plot, is this one bit from the original SeaWorld Attacks. It's in the backup features that run across all the annuals. We find out that the Egyptian death god Seth stole the followers of the elder god Seth. You have been pronouncing my name wrong. It's Seth. There's never been any payoff or reference to that again. But I personally think it is ripe for a big, mega story. Part of the story takes place in Project Cadmus, but despite that, Blue Streak doesn't work there anymore, so he is not going to be in the story. Angela Anaconda is on the Serpent League, nothing to add there. They are in the story, but I have covered them. This is a iffy one. I know Charlotte Witch is going to be a big player, so I might play it safe here and suggest Catherine Hahn might be in it somewhere. Maybe I don't know. I don't really know how, if at all. But Marvel have been pretty back and forth on if Moonbeam and Devil Dinosaur are canon, or if they exist in canon, a version of them. But if we show something from the prehistoric sort of times, the Neanderthal kind of days, if we're showing some set backstory, Moonbeam and Devil Dinosaur might be a fun cameo to work in. Spider-Man, he is going to have a bunch of tie-in issues. He is intensely shagging Felicity in all of them. Shade the Changing Man would be in it. Not as an Avenger. He would be an Avengers ally, sure. I want the new gods fighting alongside the Fairyland gods. But I don't want like all 30 of the different new gods clogging up the battlefield. I want maybe 6 or 7 of the more recognisable ones. And I would count Shade the Changing Man towards that. I would like to reunite the 2 races of new gods as well. The Titan and Olympus ones. He is still dead though. And of course Ursula. The premise of SeaWorld Attacks 2, Fairyland Attacks, is, well, Ursula and Desard, they are once again trying to bring Seth across to this dimension, or at least out of his dimension, e.g. into Fairyland. In Ursula's case, she is doing all the footwork on Earth. Her storyline, her side of the plot, is what involves the serpent, Ath, and other mystical shit. Desard is more on the Fairyland side of the plot, the warfare side. Ursula, I need some other profiles to really tell parts of her story. But what we have covered is one of her things is she hired the Serpent League to break in and take control of Project Cadmus. I suggested Glory Hole was where the serpent at, but I dismiss that idea now. There is a better choice and a better story to tell. Ursula won't rape anyone, surprisingly. But she will have sex, and she will have an on-panel orgasm. But that should dispel any silly notion that I am writing erotica for myself. She is not raping anyone in this story. When it comes to changes, he is a character who has gotten a completely different role in the story that we will get into when I get some of would-be accomplices. I realise this is going to drive me insane. I realised in the first or second one of these, I tore up the fat bitch from TechNet's cars. That's going to make it so my collection is almost always an odd number of profiles. So we are also going to be adding another quest to my acquisition and exploration of this series. We need to find another character that I resent so much that I tear their card up and my collection can again be a pleasing even number. Got a pretty good fallback if we never get one. I love these. I never used to. I was a latecomer to this joy. There's extra elements of fun in how these are presented and given to us. Downloading a scan of them doesn't do it justice. And they felt inferior to what came before when they were just PNGs on a monitor. As physical props, nice card sheets. And what you can do with them if you expand it a little bit beyond just collecting them all. It's so fun. 7 thumbs up from me.